Welcome to the world's #1 fitness business podcast for health club owners, gym managers, and fitness entrepreneurs. As always, this will be a great show as we have another expert to help your fitness business and your career. We'd like to thank our premier sponsor, Active Management, for supporting us, and we highly recommend becoming a member of Active Management to strengthen your business in 2016. There are loads of resources members receive, so join the Active Tribe today at www.activemgmt.com.au. Now that's enough from me. Let's welcome the show's amazing host, Chantal. What's on this week's show?
Thanks, Harper. Now, did you guys catch last week's show? It was part 1 of our chat with Shawns Bestor from LeadPages.net. If you missed it, good idea to maybe stop the podcast now and go back and listen to show 35, then come straight back here and play show 36. If you did hear last week's show, you'll know that our guest for 2 weeks running is Shawns Bestor. He is an award-winning copywriter and he writes blog posts, emails, scripts, ads, webinars, and landing pages. And he's one of the 69 top list building experts in the nation. And if you caught last week's show, you will know that he is very, very cool and knows an awful lot when it comes to lead pages and online campaigns. Now, as promised, this week is part 2 of the interview. And today what he's going to cover off is copywriting. We talk about steps from opt-in to content delivery, asking for the sale, and LeadPages.net and Shawn has a seriously awesome little surprise for all of you right at the end of the show. Before we get into it, this week is actually your last chance to go into the chance to win a copy of Michelle Segar's book, No Sweat. To have the chance to win, all you need to do is either subscribe to the show notes on fitnessbusinesspodcast.com or tell us your #1 insight from listening to one of the shows during December or January, any of those shows. I'm going to announce the winner next week in show 37. So if you haven't already entered, make sure you do. You definitely want a copy of this book. Okay, that's all for now, guys. So listen in because here is part 2 of my interview with Shawns Bestor from LeadPages.net. Now, I couldn't possibly do a podcast interview with you, Shawn, and not talk about copywriting. So,
oh my goodness. My wheelhouse.
If people out there are not good at copywriting, and I've got to tell you, I come across this all the time. People kind of stop doing things or don't do things because they're concerned about writing. If they're not good at that, what would you suggest we do?
I know that paralyzing feeling. let me tell everybody listening to this podcast, that feeling of that sort of knot in your stomach, the paralyzing feeling when you're looking at a blank page and that cursor's blinking and you've put literally nothing on there for 20 minutes. I know that feeling. That if you're a bad writer or if you're a good writer, if you're J.K. Rowling, doesn't matter who you are, that feeling is universal. So, I think that that's one thing that people can just acknowledge and get past, that it's like, yeah, that's going to happen. It's just kind of working through it because I really do think everyone can be engaging. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're trying to start a business. And if you're someone who has enough passion and fire to start a business, then that is very, very engaging and far more interesting than what a lot of people do. So you're already inherently engaging. So in my mind, there's really 3 types of people. There's people who think they can write, but they think they can't talk. There's people who think they can talk, but they can't write. And then there's the weird people that do both. But we don't talk about those people because that's not fair. So what I say to people who say they can't write is, just do a couple of these things. Talk to somebody about what you're offering. Literally sit down from another person who might want to buy whatever you're kind of trying to get people to opt into or buy. Have a conversation with them and tape it. Because if you're talking to someone, if you think you can't write, I bet you are very, very good at talking, or you're very passionate about what you talk about. So those things are going to come out naturally. You won't have that sort of medium of the keyboard and the screen to hold you back. You're just going to say what you think about the product. And so just have a conversation with someone and tape it. Then take that stuff and almost write it word for word, literally. Just put it on paper, see what works, see what doesn't. You'll be able to kind of fuss it out later. And then the second thing I would say is don't wait for the perfect word. That's another thing that people get really hung up on. They think that they look at 2 words and they're like, oh man, there's something really smooth here or something really cool I could say that would like a leather jacket would instantly pop on my back, and they would have parades for the words that I would create. You know, you don't need the perfect word. Just have some good words on there, string them together. You'll have a good sentence and split test it. See what works. You know, publish that page, see how the audience reacts to it. And then the third thing, which I won't spoil yet, but we got a free thing we're giving away. We got a couple free things we're giving away, but I do have a tool in there that does help you organize your thoughts and help you kind of write a little bit better and get to the true heart of your value proposition.
Well, we'll keep that one a little bit of a secret till later on, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's put ourselves back in the place where we're moving through and we're still talking about engagement. I'm on the website. I've entered in my details. What happens then to get the content that's on offer?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So 2 things are going to happen. So when you've opted in, and you're going to be getting the resource, 2 things happen. 1, the actual resource is delivered. So to do that, you do need an email service provider. You know, MailChimp does it for free. ActiveCampaign, you pay like $10 a month. Those are both really good tools. And those are going to help you email your list. They're going to help you set up automatic emails. So then, you know, whenever anybody opts into something, you don't literally have to see it in your mailbox, stop your day, send out an email to them and stuff like that. You can set up automation so then that stuff just rolls wherever you are. You don't even have to look at it. And then another thing that we have at LeadPages is we can deliver that stuff automatically too. So you just upload whatever you're giving away into LeadPages, they opt in, and then we automatically send that email. So you do need that. That's how that stuff gets delivered, usually via email. And then the second thing that happens, so they've opted in, you've delivered the resource, but then the big thing happens, and that is a thank you page. So think about like Amazon for a second. You know, you buy something and then they say, thank you for purchasing. Here's all your stuff, yada, yada, yada. Wouldn't it be weird if like Amazon, you bought something and then there's just like this blank page? Like it's just like you enter your credit card information, you click buy, and then it's just like this white page and you're like, what just happened? Oh, did it buy? Did my credit card just get taken? Oh no. You know, you get a little worried. So this thank you page, you know, it affirms the action that someone has taken. You know, if they opted in or they downloaded something, it's like, thank you for downloading. Check your email shortly. Everything we promised you is going to be in your inbox. It does that, and then it does one other thing, which is really big for Microfunnels, is that we have this concept called thank you and. So, you know, in improv, where they have this saying called yes and, where, you know, if somebody says something, you just accept it and you keep rolling with it, like you build on top of it, like yes and, yes and. So for thank you pages, we kind of have the same thing. It's thank you and. So you thank somebody, and then you build on that yes momentum. The people that have already done something, you build on that and you have them do something else. So it's like, thank you and share this resource. Thank you and sign up for this webinar. You know, it's a bunch of things that you can just keep people doing things and build on that yes momentum. So the 2 things would be, once they've opted in, you deliver that resource, and then you thank them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so we've gone through all of those steps, and I imagine that particular step is one of the most critical ones as well. Huge. So once you've gone through that process, and I guess during this process you're also establishing that relationship, is that when you then ask for the sale? Or what do we do next?
Well, that is kind of an interesting question, and that is where kind of a little bit of gut feelings come in. Like it's just something that you gotta feel out. You know, if you feel like, you know, let's say you're in that microfunnel, you know, you've attracted people in, you brought them to a landing page, or let's say you give away an ebook, and then off that ebook, you know, you thank them, they get the ebook and everything like that. If you feel like you can sell your product after that ebook, if you feel like the ebook did a good enough job of engaging people in to what you're selling, then yeah, you can move right into a sell. And that's just a sell microfunnel. It's a landing page that sells something. You have a cart as a checkout, and then you have the thank you page. But if you don't think that the ebook does that well enough, which at LeadPages, we have multiple microfunnels in place where we just, you know, keep giving people things and giving people things and giving people things and building up this value of just like, wow, we got so many free things that, you know, when you do ask for a buy, it's like, well, of course you've given this much value and this much content already. So very rarely can you do it with one microfunnel and engagement. But hey, if it's good enough, you can go ahead and ask for the sale. But usually you want to string together those microfunnels and those resources that you have until you get to the point where it's like, all right, I think that they trust my brand enough, they trust the value that I give, that they would want to buy something from me.
Do you, in your experience, Shawn, does the number of microfunnels that you have or the steps in the process, does it vary from one industry to another? I mean, do you know, for example, for the fitness industry, generally how many sort of engagements or gifts or free resources you generally need to give to get to that sale point?
No, because that is entirely dependent on what people give away, because you can have one person write an ebook and you can have another person write an ebook, and it's going to be two varying levels of content. Like one might be out of this world amazing and one might be good, but it's not, out of this world amazing that make people want to buy. And then the second thing about that is how closely that product that you're going to be selling ties in to that microfunnel or that thing you're giving away. So let's say I like to bike. I'm not very good at it, but I like to bike. And somebody has a microfunnel that gives away an ebook on like the 5 best places to bike in Minneapolis. I'd be like, oh, hey, that's really cool. I like to bike around. Let's see it. Now, it'd be really jarring to me if the next thing they would send me to is buy this product that makes your bike, like buy this all new, brand new bike. I'd be like, well, why? My bike's fine to go around there. But let's say that first microfunnel is an ebook on how to winterize your bike or why you should winterize your bike. If you're going to bike in the winter in Minneapolis, you need to winterize it, and here's how you winterize it. And then if the next microfunnel was selling me a couple products that help me winterize my bike, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. So it just depends kind of on how close the thing you're selling and the thing you're giving away is, and how much value you're giving away in each one of those microfunnels and each one of those resources or lead magnets that you're giving away.
In last week's show, we spoke about the countdown timer. Are there any other recommendations that you've got for creating a sense of urgency on our lead page?
One of the things that, a lot of people do for promos is, this is where the email service provider comes in, is that you send periodic emails that build the urgency as it goes on. So let's say that you have 2 days left to buy this thing. Well, with 1 day left, I might send you an email. With 6 hours left, I might send you an email. With an hour left, I might send you an email. So then it's building up that way. And then it's the copy that kind of goes around it. So you can put in things like, this, if it's a webinar, this webinar generally fills up very fast, or, seats are very limited on this. So you need to act now before it's all gone. So it's kind of that scarcity. You can play that scarcity appeal into urgency appeal. So those are kind of some of the big things that I like to use when we're trying to drive up urgency in something.
So urgency is obviously one way to drive sales. Are there any other methods that you'd suggest?
Urgency is one of the biggest things for selling. Another thing is perceived discount. So if you go on Amazon or anything like that, you'll see the thing where it says usually $199. Right now, $70. So if you can show that there is a value or there's some sort of like price cut or something like that, then that's a big one too, perceived discount. And then the other thing that I would say on top of urgency and perceived discount is bundling. So that's just the act of, instead of giving away one thing, bundle it together with a couple other things. You might have to raise the price if you want to, but bundling, when people can see that it's not just one thing, because it's a little bit harder to visualize exactly what you're going to get out of that one thing. But if you give a bunch of things in it, then it's almost the sheer amount of things you're giving away. That's going to be more powerful than just visualizing that one thing. So if you can do some urgency appeals, some perceived discounts, and some bundling, then those are 3 really big ways and big strong ways to sell something online.
Shawn, before we chat about LeadPages.net specifically and tell the listeners about the amazing little gift that you have for us today, are there any other tips that you want to leave us with?
I would say, the thing that we talked about this at the beginning a little bit too, where people just get, they get so scared to just go out and do it, or they get, caught up on, well, I don't know if I can really do this. Just do it. If you go to this, I don't know if this one will be in the notes, but this is the separate one that actually talks about how to do all these things, attract, engage, and sell. And it shows how to build the microfunnels, and it shows all the traffic sources, and it shows all that stuff, and it breaks it all down. And that's at blog.leadpages.net/leadpages campaign funnel building. That is going to show you how to do everything. And I would say just go for it. In the online world, we have what's called MVP, so minimum viable product. And all that means is that you're just pushing out the minimum viable product. So basically the lowest unit you can of this thing, just to see if people respond to it. And I think a lot of people in their minds get hung up like, oh, I need to build this huge website, and I need to hire this developer, and I need to hire all these people to get all these things like super perfect. And then it's going to go, well, what happens if you do all those things and it flops? What happens at that point? So with a minimum viable product, just doing the thing and pushing it out and seeing how people respond initially, if it does get traction, then you can start going, okay, well, I need to hire a little bit better design here. I need to, do some things and move some things around and maybe invest some more resources in it. But at least you have it out there and you can see if it succeeded. And if it did, then you can go that way. And if it failed, then you failed quicker, which is great because then you learn from that and then you move on and do something new.
Absolutely. Now, we've touched a lot on lead pages throughout the conversation today, but do you want to give us kind of the elevator pitch about LeadPages.net?
Yeah, real quick. LeadPages is, going to help you build your business. We are the premier online conversion enablement software because we have 40,000 plus paying customers now, which is the biggest in the space. Because what we do is we just make it easier for people to market and for people to get these things out there. I mean, we have hundreds of landing pages that are already pre-designed by design specialists. We have the highest converting templates out there because you can sort by conversion rate and see what's already working. We have a landing page builder where when you put this landing page in, you can just click, change text, click, change button color, click, change images. It's really simple. Just yesterday, I published a landing page for, I think it was agencies. We're marketing here to agencies for this one campaign. And it took just me. I'm no designer. I'm no developer. I'm no coder. I'm just a copywriter. It took me 10 minutes to publish that landing page and get it on out there. So we do that. And we have A/B split testing. So that's one really big thing that I think people really need to start embracing. That's what some of the biggest marketers are really, really starting to embrace and be successful with. And all that is, A/B split testing, is just taking one page, slightly making a change to it, and then putting both pages out there, the one that's original and the one that's with the change, and then seeing which one outperforms the other. And all that does then is it makes sure that you have a stronger message going forward. So then, we've seen people change a button color and it's increased conversions by 150%. Like, it's crazy. So that you would never know that if you weren't split testing. You just be like, well, yeah, yellow button's good to go.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't know that you could increase it by 150%. So basically, we just make marketing easier for people. We make pushing landing pages out there easier, and we make it so people can get leads, grow their business, and rule the world.
It sounds super easy and quick, which is a huge tick in my books. Shawn, what's the first thing that people need to do to get started with their online campaign journey?
The first thing you need to do is figure out what you want to give away. Like I said at the top of this, content is going to win. It's not going to be in the fitness industry. It's not going to be paid media. It's not going to be ranking organically on Google's first page just because it's so hard now. Just because these huge gyms like Lifetime and whatever the big gyms are in your areas, they're going to be putting a lot of hired teams behind that. So you need to win by content. So you need to figure out what your vertical is, what your niche is, and then figure out what you can publish and put out into the world that will really make a difference and really make you stand out. And once you have that, once you kind of have your core mission and your core message and your true narrative and stuff like that, then you can start diving into the marketing tools. You can start diving into making these funnels and making these microfunnels and making these landing pages and stuff like that, because you'll already have such a strong proposition to give away. So I would say that's the biggest thing you need to do first.
Okay, listeners, I think we have teased you enough. As promised, Shawn has a little gift for you all, and there's a link in today's show notes. All you need to do is click through, and there you're going to receive an ebook, a video, and best of all, 6 pre-built funnels to get your online campaign journey started. That is pretty cool stuff. So just check out the link in today's show notes. Now, before we finish on the subject, there's actually just a little more. But wait, there's more. Because after we stopped recording the show, I kept chatting to Shawn, and he had one more tip that I really wanted to share with you all. So take a quick listen now. Hey listeners, I was just having a chat to Shawn, and he mentioned something to me that I reckon there's lots of you out there that will want to hear. So I'm going to throw over to him. He's going to tell us about one other option for personal trainers that are part of larger corporations that might need a little bit of help when it comes to generating and building their database. Over to you, Shawn.
This is my Steve Jobs. And one more thing. So one of the things that I do here, and this was a bit more of a personal thing for me, is that my cousin is a personal trainer at one of these bigger gyms, these corporations that are all throughout, America and different cities and stuff like that, the bigger gyms. And he's a personal trainer for one of those gyms. And one of the issues that they do get into is the same one that, a lot of small business owners and small personal trainers and, medium-sized personal trainers are getting into. And that's how to generate leads. I mean, that's what we've been talking about the whole time. And the problem with it is in these huge gyms and stuff like that, the personal trainers are measured on how many clients, these individual clients that they can get into the gym on a given week or a given month or something like that. The issue becomes that these guys get handcuffed because the big corporations, these big gyms say, well, you kind of have to go by what we give you. You have to generate leads by the tools that we give you, which is fine. I understand it because, it comes down to marketing and branding. And if you have everyone doing their own thing within a gym, then it gets a little bit too inconsistent. So then that really does hurt the personal trainer that does decide to work for these gyms because, they have to abide by the same emails everybody sends out, the same flyers that everybody sends out. And, I've seen cases where you can't even write on the back of your business card, a website because that's different. So it all comes back to, and I know this because, I've been in these organizations where it's the marketing team not wanting to relinquish branding. That's really what it comes down to, just making everything consistent. So there is a way for personal trainers in these areas to get leads and to use all this stuff. It takes a little bit of convincing and legwork, but with LeadPages, we have this thing called sub-accounts, right? So you have a main account, and then think of this as a tree, right? You have the main tree trunk, and then you have branches coming off it. So the tree trunk is your main LeadPages account, and then the branches are your sub-accounts. So the cool thing is, let's say Big Gym A here in Minneapolis has a couple personal trainers, and there's a personal trainer that wants to do this methodology, use these landing pages, be a smarter marketer and get leads and all this good stuff. What they would do is you can convince these big gyms to buy a LeadPages account. They're super cheap. I mean, they're not even that much money. It's like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. Like they're not that much money. And you get one of these gyms to buy it, and then they give the personal trainers these sub-accounts. So then in this sub-account, you can create these landing pages, you can create these lead boxes, you can create these thank you pages, you can create all of this stuff. And all you have to do, because it's a sub-account, once you do that, you click send, it sends back to the main account holder, which in this case would probably be the marketing team in one of these big gym corporations. It would send to the marketing team. They could look at it, make sure the branding is kosher, make sure the colors are on, make sure the messaging is on. They could say, yep, send it on back. And then you've got a solution. You get to market just like everybody else who's using this new marketing revolution. You're not limited to flyers anymore. You're not limited to the same emails that they send out to everybody that, don't work too well. You can be innovative and stuff like that if you can get your gym to use LeadPages and give you these sub-accounts. So it's just another way to kind of market smarter and to position that ad to these bigger gyms as, this is where marketing is going. And I think that it would really help all of us, grow the business and get more leads for everybody and get more people into the gym. So sub-accounts will help these personal trainers like my cousin, who is down there doing the exact same thing right now, this exact same thing and getting leads. It will help you grow these gyms and help yourself get more people in to train.
Absolutely love that, Shawn. So I might just remind everyone that if you do want to know more about that or any of the stuff that we've talked about on today's show, then we will have Shawn's contact details and the LeadPages website details in this week's show notes. So thanks once again, Shawn.
Absolutely. Thank you.
The Fitness Business Podcast is very appreciative of our podcast partners. Here's a quick word from one of our partners.
As you know, our goal at the Fitness Business Podcast is to help you grow your fitness business. So I love it when I can tell you about new products, programs, and solutions to help you do just that. Our show would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. And one of those awesome sponsors is Visual Fitness Planner. But before I tell you more about them, let me ask you these questions. What is your membership closing percentages? What percentage of your members at the point of sale sign up for a complimentary orientation session? What percentage of your new members actually show up for their complimentary orientation session? And most importantly, what percentage of your membership buys personal training? These are the numbers that you have to be asking yourself and measuring every single day. As the old saying goes, if you're not measuring your numbers, you're not managing your numbers. A club's set show close numbers are significantly improved because of the Visual Fitness Planner. The VFP provides a turnkey system for marketing, capturing, and integrating new members into a healthy lifestyle change. The VFP automates your existing sales, marketing, and orientation systems with the power of its visually impacting technology. VFP calculates a person's health risks for diseases, it predicts their health age, it creates a before and after 3D image of their body, and calculates how long it will take to achieve their goals. And in this process, increases your membership and personal training sales and overall member retention. To check out more about the VFP, head over to their website at myvfp.com.au. And of course, a copy of that website link is in today's show notes.
It's time for the Fitness Business Podcast wrap.
Here are my top 3 favorite takeaways from today's chat with Shawn Bestor. When it comes to copywriting, don't wait for the perfect word. Just get in and do it. He told us that a thank you page is an essential part of the journey for your potential customer, and it gives you the opportunity to offer them added value content, such as things like an ebook. We also spoke about urgency appeals, perceived discounts, and bundling, which are 3 of the most powerful ways to help sell online. Now, don't forget about that awesome offer from Shawn and from LeadPages.net. The link is in this week's show notes. And also very importantly, don't forget it's your last week to enter the draw for our December Jan prize giveaway. We're giving away 2 copies of Michelle Segar's book, No Sweat. You know what to do. For your chance to win, all you need to do is either subscribe to the show notes on fitnessbusinesspodcast.com or tell us your number 1 insight from listening to one of the shows during December or January. The winners will definitely be announced next week in show 37. Thanks for joining me, everyone, for another week of the Fitness Business Podcast. And remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what's woven into the lives of others.
Great show this week that you should be suffering DOMs, delayed onset mind soreness, as you are overloaded and that's when your mind is strengthened. You and your business have been strengthened thanks to the amazing support of our premier sponsor, Active Management. Check out www.activemgmt.com.au only if you want to strengthen your business and your leadership. Don't forget all today's links and notes are found at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, where you can also subscribe and never miss a show and maybe win a prize. Next week is another incredible guest with Chantal, so get ready for more Fit Bizpiration.